I never thought I'd find myself sitting in a crowded cafe, watching my wife laugh with another man, the man I had suspected for months but had no proof of. Her eyes sparkled in a way I hadn't seen for years, a brightness I once believed belonged only to me. But tonight, it was his, Mark's. My heart pounded as I sipped my coffee, pretending to read a newspaper, even though every fiber of my being screamed at me to confront them. I had followed her discreetly after she claimed she was meeting a friend from work, and now, seeing them together, the truth hit me like a hammer: she was cheating. I waited, calculating every second, every movement, and then I saw it, his hand brushing against hers, the intimacy that shouldn't exist between a married woman and another man. I wanted to storm in, scream, demand answers, but I knew that without proof, I would be the fool, the jealous husband who overreacted. That's when I remembered the small recorder I had secretly placed in her bag weeks ago, capturing conversations she thought were private. I pressed play on my phone under the table, and there it was, her voice, soft and flirtatious, promising just one night together and laughing at some inside joke only she and Mark could understand. My hands shook, but my mind remained cold. I had what I needed. The next day, I confronted her, or rather, arranged a meeting under the guise of a mediation session. I wanted witnesses, and she had agreed to bring Mark. The tension in the room was thick, suffocating, as the three of us sat in a lawyer's office, legal documents spread across the table like silent sentinels. Mark was confident, smug even, acting as though he owned her, as though my presence was an inconvenience rather than a threat. My wife avoided my gaze, but her smirk gave her away. She thought this was a game she could manipulate. Mark leaned back in his chair, chest puffed up, and said the words that made my blood run cold: "She's mine. She's always been mine. I don't see why you're even here." His arrogance was infuriating, but I stayed silent. I had one move left, and I needed it to hit like a thunderclap. That's when the lawyer, a stern woman with icy eyes and a reputation for uncovering lies, looked up from her notes and locked eyes with me. Her gaze was sharp, piercing, and suddenly, I felt a strange alliance forming in the air. She didn't need my words, she already knew. "You're mistaken," she said calmly, her voice slicing through Mark's bravado. "I have all the evidence I need, including the text messages, call logs, and recordings that clearly show the manipulations and meetings planned behind your client's husband's back." Mark's face turned pale, a slow, creeping realization dawning that this wasn't a simple claim of ownership, this was exposure. His confident posture crumbled as the lawyer slid a folder across the table toward me, thick with undeniable proof. I opened it with deliberate calm, letting each page speak for itself: the messages, the photos, the voice notes that caught him in every lie. My wife's hand trembled, her smile faltering, eyes darting from the folder to me. This isn't what it looks like," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. Mark, on the other hand, looked like a man who had just seen the floor fall out beneath him. The lawyer continued, her tone cold and precise. "It's all here, Mr. Mark. You claimed ownership, yet you arranged secret meetings, hid conversations, and attempted to manipulate this woman. Your actions are documented and will be used as evidence if this case goes to court." Mark's face lost all color. I watched as the arrogance drained from him, leaving only panic, disbelief, and the faintest trace of fear. My wife's eyes welled with tears, but they weren't for me, they were for herself, realizing her web of lies was finally unraveling. I didn't need to say a word. I didn't need to scream or fight. The room was already filled with the sound of her guilt, Mark's denial crumbling, and the lawyer's commanding authority. It was enough. I leaned back, arms crossed, letting them digest the reality they had tried to control. For once, I didn't feel angry, I felt vindicated. The proof, undeniable and meticulously gathered, had done what my words never could. Mark tried one last plea, a desperate attempt to salvage some shred of control. "You don't understand, she wanted this too." His voice cracked, revealing the fear beneath the bravado. But the lawyer simply shook her head. "The evidence doesn't lie. And your declarations without proof hold no weight here." He swallowed hard, realizing that every move he had made had been anticipated, every lie exposed. My wife finally looked at me, her eyes pleading. But it was too late. The trust was gone, dissolved in the tide of deceit she had created. I stood, collected the folder, and said, calmly but with an edge she hadn't heard in years, "I think you both understand now that some things cannot be undone. No sobs, no begging, no promises, just a quiet, final authority. I left the room, the lawyer's approving nod the only acknowledgement I needed. Outside, the air felt different, lighter, though bitter. I knew there would be conversations, explanations, maybe even confrontations later. But right now, the weight of betrayal had been turned into clarity. Mark's lies were laid bare, my wife's deceit undeniable, and I was free of the silence that had haunted me for months. I walked away knowing that while trust could never be restored with them, truth had a power that anger and hurt could never match. As I stepped into the sunlight, I realized something profound. The most dangerous men aren't always those who betray, they're the ones who think they can do so without consequence. But when the law, evidence, and resolve align, even the boldest arrogance crumbles. And tonight, it had crumbled spectacularly.